TheDude79 here, joined by my good buddy, my good pal, Fanboytone. Mr. Fanboytone, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Dude, I'm pretty excited because we're getting really, really close to making this a live stream,
Very
live discussion video.
Getting out all the kinks.
Working on everything that we can. Hopefully we got a better image quality this time. Still got to work on the lighting. Tone looks like he's kind of like just glowing right now, but he is glowing with personality. Yeah, I think we got the audio figured out. I think we've got that taken care of. And, yeah, the image quality is a little bit better. But Tone, yeah, man, I think the next time we do one of these, we're going to be live,
That's
dude.
exciting. I'm excited to have us hopefully go live. And hopefully some of you, not us, will be here. Hopefully some of you guys will join us when we do go live and get interactive in the chat.
Yeah, we'll be live on Mixer. We'll have the links to the channels and what have you at a later date. But I would anticipate, if all goes as planned, we will be live not next Wednesday, but the following, because we'll have a lot to talk about. We'll have a lot to talk about in terms of movies. We're going to be going to see Joker next weekend.
Correct.
And then, obviously, we'll have had some time with Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Yes.
So we're going to be able to talk about that a little bit.
Very exciting.
But tonight, it's going to be a shorter show. And see, he's got that swag. He's got that swag. So tonight we're going to just talk about a couple things. Not going to be a terribly long stream. We just wanted to test out one more try, make sure the audio sounds good. But first of all, what's going on with you, man? What's new?
Not a whole lot. Work's been pretty overwhelming, I'll be honest. Been really tired. My household's been sick. I've been sick. I think it's partly the weather changes, allergies, a little bit of this, that, the other. But other than that, I can't complain too much. I just haven't had a whole lot of time to stream or social media because of all that stuff going on. Yourself?
Pretty much the same, dude. I don't have the sick kids or anything like that. Nobody's sick yet. See, I just jinxed myself. I'm sure I'm gonna wake up tonight at like 4 a.m. My kid throwing up everywhere, so can't wait for that. But no, man, work has been crazy. But I've gotten back to a regular streaming schedule. You know, normally I stream tonight, but we're working on this. But I've been able to stream the last couple other nights that I've been supposed to stream. I'm playing a lot of stuff. I'm playing a lot of GreedFall. I've gotten a good portion of Borderlands 3 done. I also spent a little bit of time with the Modern Warfare beta.
Yeah, I got my hands on it too.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did get into that a little bit. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Let's lead off with that real quick. Let's talk a little bit about Modern Warfare.
I want to preface by saying
I
am not a Call of Duty player by nature. I am also one of the rarity that liked Ghosts, and everybody hates it. If you're a COD player, you typically hate Ghosts.
Yeah.
I liked Ghosts a lot, which says I don't know if there's a problem with me or the series at that point. But I played a lot of that and really enjoyed that. Infinity Ward, of all the Call of Duties, are the ones that I like to play. I played a lot of Modern Warfare 2, terrible at it. Played some Modern Warfare 3, also terrible at it. Ghosts was the only one I was okay at, but I really enjoy. A lot of those guys now turn into Respawn, Titanfall, etc. I like that feel. And I actually really enjoyed what I played at the beta. It just felt comfortable. And while Black Ops never really did, and I tried, something about that beta, it felt good.
First of all, Ghost is widely considered the most accessible of the Call of Duties, usually the easiest one to play, so it doesn't surprise me that that's the one you enjoy the most.
Absolutely, I'm terrible at FPS typically.
He is really bad.
Yeah.
If you ever watch his Halo streams, it's really just an embarrassment. But he loves the franchise, so I can't fault him for playing it. No, I'm with you, dude. Like playing the beta, I really, really enjoyed what I played. I thought it handled very, very well. I liked it because it was a slower moving Call of Duty. It wasn't as fast paced. I felt like the characters were a little heavier.
It felt natural.
Yes, it didn't feel like I was. I felt boots on the ground. Finally, we constantly hear them talking about it's gonna be boots on the ground. This one actually felt like boots on the ground. If there was one issue I had with the beta, it was the respawn system.
I think if anything, and if I rack my brain, all Call of Duties typically have spawning issues.
This was one of the worst I have ever experienced in a Call of Duty game.
Because wasn't Black Ops 2 like one of the worst of Nuketown or something?
I do. Well, yeah. I mean, Nuketown. I mean, that's still a little different. Nuketown is a very condensed and it's a very small map. These maps in this beta were very, very large maps, and there were more times than I want to count that we were caught in a spawn camp situation where we couldn't get out. And there were multiple times in the streams that I was streaming, you could see me just spawn in. And there's two enemies in front of me who are spawning, and I'm just getting easy kills, or vice versa. It was the same thing for me. It was just like, okay, I don't know what happened. You guys have been making Call of Duty for a long time, and you still can't get this fucking respawn system down there. So the spawn systems need some serious adjustment before the game launches. But other than that, dude, yeah, like you said, it felt good to play. It was exciting. The sound in that game is excellent too. The sound is really, really good. Out of all the modes I played the ground war where it was 32 versus 32. very hectic. It was pretty cool to see a game like a Call of Duty game mode with that many people on the map, kind of getting up there with what you see in Battlefield.
Right.
But still, for my money, I think the best mode that I played in that game is Gunfight, the 2v2.
Yeah, you're really into the 2v2.
Oh, dude, it's so intense, and I love the matches. Like the rounds are only 45 seconds, so you got to be quick. If you don't eliminate the other team when time runs out, there's a flag that pops in the middle, and you can capture the flag within 3 seconds. So you just got to make a beeline for the flag. So these matches are constantly moving, and that's really, really good. It keeps you going. It keeps you, it's nothing like stale. It's just boom, boom, boom. And it's a lot of fun because you got to play with your friend. You got to work together. And that's the stuff I like in a lot of shooters. I was born on SOCOM, so I was born on teamwork. I was born on working the objective.
You're more than anybody else on that.
And so when a game like Gunfight comes out where you have to work with somebody else, it's a two-man game, that's a lot of fun to me. I think that's a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I definitely have more high hopes and more potential of me actually playing Call of Duty for once.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because I call back to I so much love Ghosts, and this felt like I was playing a Modern Warfare again, and I really like that.
Right. Now, the other thing I want to mention to you, yesterday we had the State of Play, the PlayStation State of Play, and they talked about, they had, what we're seeing now with these games getting cross-play is you're kind of eliminating the possibility of having those exclusivity rights to like maps. For this gen, PlayStation has always had the exclusive rights to the maps. Whether it was a month to like 7 days in Black Ops 4, now that's not a thing because it's crossplay. You don't want to break up the player base.
But what else can you do, right?
Right. So what did they do? Sony went out and got the exclusive rights to the Spec Ops Survival Mode. Now I don't know if you remember Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare 2. Right? Modern Warfare 2 was awesome. those Spec Ops missions were freaking awesome.
Yeah, they were hard sometimes too.
Modern Warfare 3 Survival Mode was fucking terrible. I thought it was lame as hell. That might be, in my opinion, I know there's some people out there that enjoy it. You might have enjoyed it.
I was hit or miss.
Hit or miss. I thought it was the weakest co-op addition to any Call of Duty game.
Fair enough.
Any Call of Duty game with co-op, that was the weakest mode.
They always chase zombies anyway.
Yeah, it's always zombies, but the missions from Modern Warfare 2 were intense. Now we know we are getting missions. There will be missions, but those will be available everywhere. But man, why would you go out and try to secure exclusive rights to the one co-op mode? That was the lamest out of the bunch.
It's got a lot of people in a tizzy. The buzz is very, very. A lot of Xbox owners are upset, and I don't honestly blame them.
No,
but I will tell you that last gen, even though again it was maps, last gen 360 was the higher selling console, however you want to put it, and that's how it rolls. Is Call of Duty is one of those titles that typically follows who's got the console sales. It's hardware sales that they usually go with. This gen has been PS4. They've been getting all the exclusivities because of that. Last gen was 360. That said, nothing insane like an entire mode, an entire console's missing out a mode on that.
Right.
Now, you can spin that a lot of different ways, and you can have at least 2 or 3 discussions I can think off the top of my head about that. And some people are going to have a hard time because there's hard pills to swallow when you start holding your allegiance to certain companies. But that all aside, that's pretty intense. Smart on Sony's end, sure. Smart on Activision, I don't know, because if you're alienating an entire console base of people, because I've already seen people saying, "I'm not buying this now," and you know what? I don't know if that's the end all be all, but
see, here's the weirdest thing about that though, man, is when you look at like Destiny, when they had their PlayStation exclusive stuff, they had that stuff for a year. But the thing is with Destiny 1 was out for 3 years. So Xbox players still got that content, and there was still 2 years left. Now here's the thing: with Call of Duty, this is an annual title.
Comes out.
This
every year.
A 1 year deal for the mode. By the time next year rolls around, this is gonna be another Call of Duty. Nobody's playing it. So you're essentially just saying, look, this is exclusive to the PlayStation for as long as this game's gonna be relevant, which is 1 year. Typically. Because then the next Call of Duty is going to come out and it's going to be irrelevant. So that's what makes this one a little bit. I think this one's kind of weak because of that. It's filthy because not only is I thought PlayStation overshot on this one. I mean, it's like I said, survival, and the developer even came out and said one of the developers said this is like 1% of the co-op suite of things you can do. So it's a very small portion of the co-op suite in the game. It's the weakest part of the game. I'm assuming if it's the same thing that we saw in Modern Warfare 3. Now if they tweaked it and it's really cool, then maybe Sony's onto something. But overall, I just think like this and they probably could have done something else or just said, look, no exclusive shit. No, nothing at all. It just seems really silly to go hard for a mode that was the weakest out of all the co-op modes ever added to a Call of Duty game. But then it's locked up for a year. So by the time it does become available for Xbox players, they're all already going to be pre-ordering the new one.
And they'll forget about it like they always do.
So kind of a goofy deal. Yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, and with everything that's included in Call of Duty, it's a seriously 1% of what the game has to offer.
So that is something I don't know if people actually realize though either. Then it's a small piece of that.
It was something that broke last night after the state of play. It was a couple hours after this. A developer for Infinity Ward came out and just said, "Look, it's a very small portion of it." And it was really interesting. One of them said, the developer said, "The decision for that is above our pay grade." So it wasn't even something that Infinity Ward. That's an Activision. That's all Activision making that deal, you guys.
Yep.
So yeah, very interesting. But I just feel like that was I don't even know if that's even worth exclusive rights to. So, but anyways, I understand why Xbox people are upset. All right, moving on. What have you been playing?
Mixed bag. Actually, this week. So last week, the hot and heavy for me was Path of Exile, which still is.
Yep.
I just haven't been on an actual console, like on my TV, in the last couple days as much. This week's been so nuts. And because I've been partly sick, I've actually been playing the Switch. So Path of Exile last week, Diablo clone. Play it. It's free. It's awesome. Didn't know it was on console. Now I can't stop playing it. Great game, very, very deep, and I love that. Very micromanaging, even better. So, this week I am on the Astral Chain on the Switch.
Oh, the Astral Chain, yes.
Yeah, I'm really into that, and
I
really like it. Like at first, I was like, there's some things that are kind of cringeworthy, and I don't play the DMC games. I don't like them. I get people like them. It's just not my style. Never has been. This is Platinum Games, right?
Yep.
Same thing, right? So. You would expect there are similarities, there's shades of that, but it's actually way different also. The only thing it has in common is the combat very, very barely resembles that because you're using this thing, basically a Digimon for all intents and purposes,
right? That
is attached to you with a chain, literally Astral Chain, and it's doing all your attacks for the most part. You can do some attacks, but you're not near as powerful as this thing and all its powers.
Right.
The combat is not at all like Devil May Cry, where you're tapping buttons and tapping buttons. This thing will do some certain things. You're waiting for certain timed events, kind of thing. It's really captivated me. By the time I got to the third mission, I was like, damn, I feel like I'm in the middle of an anime. It makes you feel like you're in the middle of an anime. And as an anime fan, when you start getting to that kind of thing, you start getting hyped. You start remembering those certain like anime episodes where you see these crazy fights and you're going, oh my God, my brain's going to explode. This is so awesome. This is kind of doing that for me. My only complaint I will say is I have a hard time with campy dubbed audio. So when I watch anime, it's always subbed. It's in Japanese. I can't speak Japanese, but I can't handle the non-emotional attachment when you're dubbing stuff.
Right.
And so you can't.
It doesn't seem natural. Like it doesn't seem like it's in tune with what's going on.
I played Final Fantasy 15 when that came out in full Japanese the entire time because it just felt more natural to me. And I'll do that when Final Fantasy 7 Remake comes out, and that option is not available on this game. But that said, and that's very minor, and that's very tone on that one. It's very fun. You can do the upgrades on your, it's called a Legion, I believe it is. And you can get 4 or 5 of them as you progress through the story. They do different abilities. You can upgrade them and go in more attack power, more defense, or this, that, and the other. Pretty cool. Some people have been saying it is a silent Switch hit that nobody really knows about.
Really, I remember there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk of it leading up to it. I wasn't sure. I haven't seen the sales on it yet.
No, not very huge. I mean, places had sold out.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But they didn't get a lot of them.
So really? Okay. No, yeah, it's reviewed incredibly well. I've been really curious. I've played a little bit. I mean, I just played the very beginning. I didn't get very far at all.
It's not much to go on when you just that first little, yeah. Because it took me about 6 and a half hours to get into it in that third mission, and it was a long mission for you to go like, I got it. I feel it now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now I'm thinking about it all the time.
That's what I need to start firing up. Normally, I would be I take my Switch to work with me, and I play it on my lunches and my breaks. But lately, I've been just falling asleep on my lunch and my break. I'm taking naps. I know you don't get that luxury. Sorry, I go up to the 4th floor, and there's a couch. I just lay on the couch, fall asleep. It's pretty awesome.
Bullshit.
Hey, but you get to go to Firehouse Subs, so I don't want to hear your bullshit.
Also true.
Don't want to hear your bullshit.
What are you playing?
Outside of the Modern Warfare beta, I have been playing GreedFall. which is like an action RPG from Spiders Games, and these are the guys that made Technomancer, and I want to say it was a Bound by Flame. I think it was Bound by Flame was their previous title. Now, the thing with Spiders is there was a lot of talk about Bound by Flame, like they are a very talented developer. And so when Technomancer came out, I think it was 2 years ago, I was really interested. We actually we were covering it for the site that I was working on at the time, and I played it, and there were some really cool elements to it. There were a lot of cool things that I thought were interesting. The presentation was very cool, very sci-fi, but the story was a little meh. The voice acting was really, really bad. And it wasn't a game that grabbed me for as long as I would have liked for that style of game. I mean, if I'm playing an RPG, I need a strong story. I need a strong story, I need strong characters, and it just didn't have that. So I was a little disappointed with it, even though you could see in some of the areas, Spiders is a very talented developer. They have an understanding of RPGs. They're very good at what they do in some areas. So come along GreedFall here, and we saw it a couple weeks before it came out. We're like, man, this looks pretty good. Pro was talking about in the chat, we were all like, man, this actually looks really kind of good. And I wasn't going to pick it up, but then I was like, I am going to pick it up. So I grabbed it, and I probably got about 12 hours into it now, and it's really good. It's really good. The thing with Spiders is they are a AA developer. They're essentially an independent developer. So they're a very small team. They don't have all the resources that a BioWare would have or somebody or a CD Projekt Red. So they're working within a budget. And you can see that in the game. When you fire it up, not the best looking game. It's not going to rival Witcher 3 or anything like that. And it's a little janky. Some of the animations are a little janky. And you can see there are some limitations in terms like the budget as well. I mean, a lot of the characters, the NPCs that you come across, a lot of them look identical. They have their same models, maybe tweaked with like different hair or face paint, but it's the same person. You can tell. A lot of the interiors, no matter which city you go to, which town, if you go into to the main building, it's like the same layout, almost it's like an identical layout. But I think they like decorated a little bit, but you can tell there's a lot of repetitiveness to the interiors, to some of the characters. So there are, you can see they have to, they gotta, be a little cheap in some areas. But man, one thing that those guys excel at is writing and combat. This is where the game has hooked me. Man, the other night I was playing a mission where you're one of your companions, his name is Kurt. You get companions that come with you, and some of the side quests are related to them to kind of flesh out their characters. And there was this one where I'm investigating like this phantom camp of it's almost like a special ops group of knights and whatnot that they all kind of they bring in the best people and they train them and they run missions like co-op or special op missions and stuff like that. And I mean, this takes place way back when, so it's kind of funny here, but the way it's just written and the character development is really, really good. I love when I do side quests and they're deep in terms of story.
Right.
Most of them are pretty much the same. Go here, kill this group. But there's so much in between, so much story and running. Where I was just like, at the end of this thing, I was like, man, that was really sweet.
Yeah,
that was a sweet story. Kurt, you got to see a little bit more depth to Kurt. You got to improve your relationship with Kurt. There's just a whole lot of good writing in this game. And then the combat is really cool. It's very similar to Witcher 3. A lot of melee, a lot of magic involved. So it's a balancing act. You're using magic for certain things, melee combat for other things. But what's cool about it is if you're up against a group of say 4 regular fighters and a kind of a mini boss or a boss in the middle, you can use the L1 or the left trigger or the left bumper button, and that pauses the game. It pauses the game, and so it brings up a menu of what you want to do. Do you want to use your magic here? Do you want to use your pistol to break the armor?
Very Sans Dragon Age Inquisition.
There you go. Exactly like that. And so you're sitting there, and you can choose which enemy you want to use it on. So you're like, okay, I want to stop here. I want to shoot this guy with my gun to break his shield. Do that. Boom, hit it again. And here comes the big boss. I'm going to hit him with stasis so he can't move for 9 seconds. Hit him.
Get these little guys out of
start
here.
beating up the other guys, and then go back to the combat. And I mean, there's a lot of dodging and rolling. Like I said, it's very similar to Witcher 3, but there's some cool tweaks to it to make it unique. And it's an awesome game. I'm really liking it so far.
The combat looked fun when I was watching you play it.
Yep.
1. 2, correct me if I'm wrong, it looked like you were a pirate or a buccaneer?
I can't quite I'm not a history major, so
I mean, he looked like a little pie, like a little.
Yes, it's exactly what it is. They're very, very similar. You know, you're basically working with a lot of people who are on that live on ports, that live on ships all everywhere. I mean, it's very and it's very, very good. It's what it does right. It does very, very well. If you can look past the jank and some of the flaws, which are minor, you can really enjoy this game. It's $49.99, so it's not a full price game. And like I said, man, it's well done. It's really well done, and I really want to see Spiders get another chance after this. I want this game to do well enough to where they can be like, okay, look, guys, we got enough money we've made here. Let's go big. Let's go bold. Let's try to make this big AAA game with the production values and the great graphics and all that stuff.
Somebody give them some money.
And that would be nice if a publisher came around and said, hey, look, go make the game. We're gonna flip the bill. Make this game. We know what you guys can do.
Right.
We've seen it. We know the quality of your writing. Yeah, your potential, the ceiling is very high for them. So if you get a chance, check out GreedFall, rent it, I think that'd be a great game if it could hit Game Pass.
That would be a good game.
It would be a fantastic game if it could hit Game Pass. So if it ever does come to Game Pass, or if it's a game with gold or a PlayStation Plus game, please check out GreedFall. Set your expectations at a fair spot. Yeah. You're going to run into some issues with it that you'll be like, oh, that's kind of eh. But everything that matters, the story, the gameplay, it's really good. It's really, really good.
Cool. That's a good recommendation.
Yes, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I'm definitely a little curious on that, but I'm also backlogged like a mother trucker, like everybody coming into the fall.
I'm trying to get that thing done because I only have like 5 days until Shadowkeep comes out.
Oh yeah, he's got some business going on too.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be talking to him very much.
I gotta try to get it done Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then after that, dude, it's gonna be Destiny 2 religiously. Except for next Friday, I think we're all gonna stream Ghost Recon.
Yeah, we're trying to get the small crew of us, the top boys, together and do some of that old Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. That should be a lot of fun. Dude, did you see all the shit that they talked about today in terms of like their season pass and all that stuff?
A little convoluted.
There is a lot going on there. They mentioned raids. There's a raid in this game.
It's crazy. Division 2 one not so fun.
I did not like the Division 2 raid.
Oh,
and I know you and I will never quite see that with Destiny 2. But when I played Destiny 2, now keep in mind, I never played Warcraft. I never went hard at Warcraft and what have you. But the raids in Destiny 2 are seriously still some of the best like experiences ever from this gen. The raids are incredible in Destiny 2. So when I see a game that says, hey, we're going to have raids, and then you go into the Division 2 and you're like,
well, it's definitely difficult too.
Yeah, it's very difficult. But it's just
numbers based.
Yeah, and the thing that's great about the Destiny ones is there's combat focus, but there's also puzzle mechanics, and there's things that you got to figure out on your own. It's not just simple, just move this. There's a lot going into these raids. A lot of thought process goes into it to break up like the combat. So when I see raid and Ghost Recon Breakpoint's gonna have raids, I have a certain expectation from raids.
The big thing I'll say is that what I love about Division is everything about Division. What I love about Ghost Recon is everything I love about Ghost Recon, but they are entirely two different games.
Yes.
The beta this weekend coming up, by the way, which I will be checking that out. I think it's open to everybody, I believe, too, Breakpoint.
It is, yep.
So I'm going to check that out just because I'm really curious about that. But some of the early feedback has been there's a little bit more Division feel to it, so I don't know. So I don't know. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I put about 80 hours into Wildlands and still didn't find every piece of like material or part.
Really?
But I beat every person at Cartel before I beat what's his face at the end, the main guy. And I prefer tactical shooting. You say something like SOCOM. I go back to that as well too. Like for me, like that Rainbow Six, that old school tactical shooting. The Division 2 is meant to be more of that MMO feel, that bullet sponge, powers, numbers. Recon is, it's about tactical shooting.
Yep.
You pop somebody in the head, they're probably gonna die. So hopefully. So that to me calls to me more like trying to play a little bit stealthy. Don't play with Prime Gaming. He sucks at stealth. You're going on record by being the worst squad member ever. Period. So for me, like Recon's got me hyped just because Wildlands really put me into the zone, and I'm excited for this. So, but hey, let's not forget. So we're talking about Friday. That night prior. Let's not forget. Thursday night, whenever anybody gets a chance to see this, if you do, it'll be the 3rd. We have our pre-order tickets, 7 p.m., 6:50, whatever, to go see Joker.
Oh my!
That is currently also got Oscar buzz.
Yes, it does.
A lot of buzz.
A lot of buzz.
The early reviews out of the Venice showing was very positive. Some of the stuff I've seen from people that are elbows with the people in the industry is that two things really. How people are going to be able to handle the comic book fans, how they're going to be able to handle this. And I can address that very briefly as well, as a big comic fan to some degree. And two, how violent it is.
Yes.
And I'm really excited to see it. And Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I remember when we first heard about this movie, when remember everyone started talking about like, oh, Joaquin Phoenix is going to be the Joker. And I was like, okay. And then, they mentioned Todd Phillips is directing and writing. And at first, that was my biggest, like, I don't know about this. Like, Todd Phillips, the guy who did Old School and Hangover and, what's the one, Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis, where they go across the country.
Tropic Thunder?
No, not Tropic Thunder.
Sorry.
But anyways, there's a movie there, and I look at Todd Phillips and I just think, okay, he's a funny guy. He makes comedies, dumb comedies, whatever. But so he's directing this, but they get Joaquin Phoenix, and there's no doubting Joaquin Phoenix as an actor. This guy, no matter what the role is, he's gonna be committed. He's gonna come on set. He's gonna make everyone awkward because he's going to be so into his role that it's gonna be incredible. But then this thing started playing at the Venice Film Festival. And I think it also played at the Toronto International Film Festival, and people have just been nonstop buzz. Like, it's just an incredible performance by Joaquin Phoenix, and you can see it in the trailers. I mean, the guy is just intense in so many scenes, and that's kind of what I want from a Joker. I mean, we saw that with Heath Ledger. He was very intense. Where Jack Nicholson was a good Joker. I like Jack Nicholson at the time. I thought he was a great Joker.
Still my favorite.
Yeah, he was an awesome Joker. He was really funny at the time. But he was heavy on camp. But he had his menacing moments, but he was mostly kind of like
I always say he was a good mix of the 60s Joker and the more chaotic Heath Ledger Joker. He's like a mix of the two.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. And then Heath Ledger came out, and obviously he brought just this dark, chaotic, very disturbed individual. And I thought, I'll be the first to admit, when they first announced Heath Ledger as a Joker, I was like, oh, it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
It's going to be fucking terrible.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that, I think.
The guy wins an Oscar. Was it posthumous? How do you say that word? Posthumous, when they die and then they get a...
Hummus.
Posthumous. There we go. I don't know if that's what it's called. But no, I mean, that was a great movie. But now you get Joaquin Phoenix. Sounds like he's amazing in it. And a lot of credit is given to Todd Phillips for his direction, for the writing, the story itself. And then just recently, Joaquin Phoenix, we'll touch on the stuff that you were talking about, is, he was doing interviews.
Yeah.
And somebody came out and asked him, like, do you think, the violence in this movie will cause people to go out and
more violence.
Yeah, spur more violence.
Because we're on that narrative.
Yeah, and he had to walk away. Joaquin Phoenix was like, nope.
And he will walk away from interviews. He don't give a shit.
Yeah, he does not care. And when you're Joaquin Phoenix, when you have those credentials and you have that resume, you can do whatever you want. But, he talked to a Warner Brothers guy, and he came back and he's to the interview, and he said, look, I was not prepared for that question. I didn't, he never even thought of that being an issue because it's a movie. But apparently this movie is incredibly violent.
Yes.
So, what's your take on that? What's your thoughts on the violence?
So I just want to say real quick about the comic book fans, and I can't speak for every comic book fan. I can speak to me and some of the people that I know. A lot of us don't take DC very serious because clearly MCU and listen, DC has figured it out a lot of times, and you find that some of the best DC stuff is when they ground themselves a little bit deeper to reality. Hence the Nolan Batmans, the Heath Ledgers, and stuff like that. When you try to replicate what the MCU has found success in, which is big money, big production, we kind of bring the directors in. They have their bullet points have to hit to kind of keep us inside their box, and they're they still get some creativiness, but it's not like full blown whatever.
Right.
Whereas this guy that's involved in Joker, he was pretty much given like, go do your thing kind of thing.
You got the blessing and everything.
Yeah,
so go make your movie.
So it's interesting to kind of look at that stuff, and when you think about the comic fans, like to me, like as somebody who used to be really weird, and I've had to deal with like the Fox X-Men for a fucking decade and a half, so I won't even get into that right now. But what I will say is that a DC movie comes out, half the time I'm just gonna go like, it's gonna suck or it's gonna be all right. Like there really isn't much gray. Like Suicide Squad, here we go. Like they tried to rush their MCU version with the DC, and that's why we got BVS. And like there are some decent things in that, yes, but overall it's a mess. Like it's just too much. You know, you have to build. You can't just build your DCU in 2 or 3 years or 2 or 3 movies.
Right.
What took a decade almost for MCU to complete an entire arc. Like, come on, get your heads out of your asses. That said, so comic book fans, honestly, personally, I don't care what they think about this. I'm looking at this as okay, this is based off a comic book character, but this is an entirely new area where you've not seen a lot of background about Joker. Maybe you have. I don't pay attention to a lot of DC, but for the most part, there's a lot of shades of mystery in there,
right?
Which is part of the allure of the character,
right?
And this is a little bit different. And there's also some rumors of that he's not the real Joker. Who knows? You know, we don't know, and it all doesn't matter. I think at the end of the day, if you look at it as a singular film, which I'm thinking of that to be,
it should be, because, not to cut you off, but Todd Phillips did come out and say, look, he's not going to be in Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Yeah,
there's not going to be a sequel to this. This is a standalone.
This is just a
alternate take or whatever, what have you.
Which is fine, and if done right, then they're awesome. And I got a feeling it's going to be because Joaquin Phoenix tends to. I mean, you can love or hate, walk the line. I grew up loving Johnny Cash, and I thought he was amazing. He didn't even really look like Johnny Cash, but he felt like Johnny Cash.
Right.
Like he puts himself into that. So, as far as that goes, that's what I have to say about that. Comic book fans, it really don't matter. I think everybody's going to go see it, but I think there's a lot of people who are intelligent moviegoers and like to really get into the cinema side of it that are going, and that's going to be the bigger part of it, that you got to get them to give the okay, because sometimes fans will just say, yeah, I like it, it's Joker.
Right.
I think the violence thing is stupid, and I think anybody that thinks that this is going to create violence because of that is part of the whatever. It's stupid. I don't even think we should even be bothering that. I think that question was an asinine thing to ask somebody like Joaquin Phoenix, and whoever's interviewing can go fuck himself.
There's the official statement from Fanboytone.
That would be that. And the last thing I do want to say about Joker is something I said recently about I can't think of the other actor too, but we'll just say Tom Hanks, right? You got a guy who, for most of his career early on, was a funny guy, a comedian. And then, probably starting in the 90s or whatever, he starts getting these roles, and they're serious roles. There's a reason why some of these folks that do comedy end up turning around and will surprise you with these crazy roles because of their acting. I think when you stem from comedy, you have a different view of everything because you have to put yourself a little extra out there because you're really trying to get that applause. And I would say probably similar to the director, what's his name again?
Todd Phillips.
He's done a lot of comedy stuff. Maybe, that stuff, maybe it's time for him to come unchained, and who knows?
Yeah, and to go back to the violence thing, I've seen Mad Max, and I haven't killed anybody on the highway.
God, that movie's
the one thing that is interesting about the Joker is how this is going to kind of focus on, I think his name is Arthur something in this movie. It's Arthur, whatever. I can't remember his last name, but his name is Arthur, and he is basically thrown to society, and society is the reason that he goes into this madness. Now, if our country continues to be the society that it is right now, there's a lot of hate out there. There's a lot of this and that. That's going to spur the violence, and people might look at this and be like, "Hey, look!" Especially if they get pushed to that brink. Society right now continues to do what it's doing. This movie people might look at this and be like, "Oh, hey, this guy was nuts just like me. He was put in the same position that I was put in. He's been through all the shit that I've been put into. Here's my chance. I'm going to go out and do something stupid." I'm not saying everybody's going to do that, but we're in a country where we can accept that. Look, there are some people that are living here that are going to do whatever they can do to get their point across that they're not happy.
Yeah.
So I mean, is this going to incite violence or inspire it? No, I don't think so. But if society keeps doing the thing it's doing right now, we could see some of these Arthur guys at some point down the line.
Yeah.
Could go crazy. Could go cray. Now, one more thing I want to talk about with you. Speaking of funny guys going serious, we had a trailer drop today, or yesterday, I'm sorry. Yesterday. Now, if there's one guy from the 90s who I thought was funny, it's
about the last time I thought he was funny.
He headlined some of the funniest comedies of the 90s, in my opinion. Billy Madison, hilarious. Happy Gilmore, hilarious. I even thought, to a degree, Big Daddy was kind of funny.
Has its moments.
Waterboy, yeah. I mean, these aren't terribly deep movies, but the performance by Adam Sandler in all these movies were always just kind of funny. He was just a dumb, funny guy, and I think a lot of people could relate to that. And then came the 2000s, and then came the 2010s, and
I will say Spanglish was a good movie.
Spanglish was decent. So was Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah,
Punch Drunk Love. That was one of the few times that we got to see the the dramatic side of Adam
Mm-hmm.
Sandler's
Not too bad.
acting abilities, which he proved that he can handle in some of those instances. But since then he's been stuck on Netflix. I think he had like a 6-picture deal, each movie worse than the last. Except I heard a lot of good things about the Jennifer Aniston one. That the last movie he had on Netflix was with Jennifer Aniston, like a murder mystery type of thing or something to that effect. I heard that was actually semi-okay, but everything else was just trash. And like for the longest time, I was just like, man, Adam Sandler's done. He's done. He's not going to do anything. And then yesterday, we get a trailer for Uncut Gems, where he plays Howard, who owns a jewelry establishment in fancy New York. You want to call it, or something like that. Yeah, he sells jewelry to all NBA players and whatnot, and on the side he's got a bit of a gambling problem. He's got a lot of money that he owes, he's got a lot of debts, and the trailer was just intense, dude. I mean, when you watch the opening of the trailer, when you see Adam Sandler, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't a comedy.
Right. You see the darker colors.
Yes,
and
he's
got a goatee.
He's got a gritty, a really gritty
street
look
almost.
Yeah, a street look. And then this whole trailer plays out. I mean, there were some moments of levity. There was a part in the car where some guy's questioning about his pool being redone or something. And it was just a little bit of humor. But for the most part, though, this was a very kind of intense trailer.
A visceral tug of war of wits, almost like.
Yeah,
who's trying to get the upper hand?
Exactly.
I don't know it was not what I expected.
There's not a whole lot to take from the trailer, but it was just you could see that this is not your typical Adam Sandler movie. This is him trying his hand again at drama in a much more. I think on IMDb it had like 5 genres tied to it: comedy, thriller, crime drama. Drama and something. I mean, there was like
a crossword puzzle. Or
something. There was a lot of like genres tied to this, but based on what I saw from the trailer, it looked pretty wild. And then, after I see this trailer, I'm just like, oh, I wonder if there's any reviews for this. I go over to Rotten Tomatoes, the thing's sitting at like a 94%. And I'm reading all these reviews
from critics that have seen.
These are critics that have seen this movie.
Wow.
It's sitting at a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes as of yesterday. I don't know if it's gone up or down since then. And all of them, a majority of them, all said the same thing: Oscar deserves an Oscar nod for Adam Sandler. Which is nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Because if you look at his last 10, 15 movies, trash. You got Grown Ups 2 in there. Just terrible movies.
I don't watch any of this stuff.
And now he's got Uncut Gems coming out in December with a 94% rating, outside of his comfort zone. Not a stupid comedy, but a serious drama with thriller elements, with some comedic. I'm assuming the comedy is going to be like dark comedy,
right?
Some like dark humor in there and whatnot, which I think would work really good to Adam Sandler's favor because I mean he's naturally a funny guy, but you put him in these different scenarios where he's going to allow to him.
The Sopranos vibe though.
Yeah, dude. Yes, and it's just it's got a good cast. I think I saw Eric Bogajan. Now I don't know if anybody knows who Eric Bogajan is. The one movie that most people probably remember him from is a terrible movie, but I thought he was the best part of it was Under Siege 2: Dark Territory. He was the main bad guy that Steven Seagal was fighting. Eric Bogajan is he's a very, I wouldn't say over the top, but he's a very intense. Yeah. He almost reminds me of kind of like a Dennis Hopper. He can be intense, but he's got kind of like that funny, he can be kind of funny in an intense way.
Yeah, like Dennis Hopper's so close to being Anthony Hopkins, but he's not because he's Dennis Hopper.
Right, exactly. So Eric Bogajan is like a lesser known poor man's like Dennis Hopper or something to that degree. But I mean, the guy, if you look at his body of work, the guy's like a killer on stage. He's a theater, he's a movie guy, but he has, he's a smaller actor. But man, every movie that I've ever seen him in, other than Dark Territory as well, he's really, really good. So you got a good cast in there with Adam Sandler. Kevin Garnett, he shows up in the trailer and you think, oh, this is probably a cameo. No, he plays an integral part of this movie.
Big time.
Yeah, he plays a major part in this movie.
And potentially could show that he's got some acting skill because let's be honest, he's scary looking.
He's a scary looking dude. He's a big guy. He's pretty intense.
I hate the Celtics, so I hate you, KG. But he's scary looking.
Yeah, he's very intense in the trailer.
Felt believable. He felt believable. He didn't feel campy at all.
No, he didn't feel like he was like a cameo. He felt like he was in character.
Yep.
So definitely check that out. Uncut Gems looked absolutely fucking sweet. Yeah. So hyped about that. And what else did we have, man? Is that it?
I think that about wraps us for right now.
That's gonna do it for this probably last pilot of Banter and Babble.
Banter and Babble is what we are going with.
Banter and Babble. B&B.
So get all the hashtags ready.
Oh, boy.
Get all the support. Get all the links.
Yes.
Get all the social medias.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to plan on letting people maybe see this, put it out?
I think this one will be available for everybody.
Okay.
I think we're going to put it on our YouTube channels. I think we're going to put it on our Facebook page. I think we're going to put it on wherever else we can put it.
Yeah.
Put it in a lot of places, can't we?
I had like 3 things I wanted to say right there.
I'm
but
glad you didn't. I'm glad you.
I don't
have the censor button.
Prime Gaming. I'm looking at you.
Oh my!
You know what I was thinking.
Saucy.
Always saucy.
But so yeah, make sure you're following us on Twitter at TheDude79 at Fanboytone. Check us out on Facebook. We both have Facebook pages as well. Fanboytone and TheDude1979.
Actually, I don't have an actual Facebook page for myself. Well, so I mainly run the Tater Tot Boy Facebook page, and for me, that's where I do most of my everything.
I'm gonna need you to get your shit together and make a Fanboytone Facebook page,
woman. But Instagram Fanboytone as well too. The real Dude79.
Right here.
Maybe we'll throw some links in there at the end too. So
we will throw links everywhere from when we go live. Again, like I said, I think the ideal is to go live on Mixer the week, not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, which I believe is the first, so the 9th.
It would be the week ending the 12th that week. Look for us, hopefully the 9th. I believe schedules are all set for myself too. That should be fine. So
excellent.
We'll throw some dates out there for everybody. If you get a chance, definitely watch this. And if you have, please give us any feedback, comments, thoughts, and look for us to go live. And if you get a chance, honestly, we need to hear from you.
And just so you know, there will be an overlay. This will be live, so we'll be interacting with the chat. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, if you want to throw out your opinion on whatever we're talking about, we will have the chat up, and we'll bring up your questions. We will talk about whatever good points are being made from the chat. We'll have video up of what we're talking about. You'll be able to see the trailers that we're talking about. We might even throw some gameplay of the games that we're playing, specific things that we like about it. So this isn't just going to be our beautiful faces. There'll be a lot of presentation going on as well. So we'll have that covered for you as well.
Yeah, it is a work in progress, of course. So again, bear with us, but this will be a live show, web show, streamcast, whatever you want to call it, when we start doing this in a couple weeks here. Yes, definitely get involved in the chat as well too. We hope to see you there. We would love to get involved, and if the conversation, if one of the points we want to talk about for an hour is our target, goes off the rails for an hour, but we have great chat interaction, we'll see where it goes, right?
See what happens.
We'll see what happens.
We know you're very busy. We know you have schedules. We know you want a game. We know you want to stream as well. So we're not going to try to take up too much of your time. But, hey, man, if we're all talking and everyone's having a good part of the conversation and everyone's bringing up great points, who knows how long the show's going to go? We have no idea.
Right.
Very difficult to predict that. So, for Fanboytone, I'm the Dude79. This has been another episode of Banter and Babble.
Pilot number 3.
The final pilot. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Holla!
See you later.